Welcome to Romance Book Monsters. It's your girl Lollipop here with Kitty Boom.
Hi guys.
And today we are reviewing Atlas and Addie, which is Rojo Texas Book 2 by Cee Bowerman. Now we reviewed Book 1 previously, so check out in the description or right on your screen if you want to check out Book 1 if you haven't already read it. So we are about to jump off this recording about this book. Now tell me, I love this book. Let me tell you something. All right, so I love Addie's brother. We feel, based on just the way it is in the book, that he has undiagnosed autism, more on the Asperger syndrome, but she doesn't go into detail in the story because he has not been diagnosed, obviously, but just from what we've seen and heard. But anyway, he's an amazing character. I love him. He is kind of what you generally see and hear about stories about folks with that kind of stuff. But either way, they grew up in, I'm calling it cult.
Oh yeah, it was a cult.
Okay, just making sure, because I was reading this and I was like, this is some cultish behavior. So the father had multiple wives. They had this religion. These folks was crazy. Luckily, Addie's mom, who was one of the father's several wives, I think there was like 3 or 4 of them, and she got her out around, was it like 11, 10, 12, in that early teen years. She went into town to live with her mom. Her mom was like, nah, I don't want my daughter to have this life. So Addie obviously lost all kind of communication with her siblings because there was lots of them. The father was prolific, from my understanding. He was prolific. But as an adult, she was able to get in contact with her younger brother and his twin sister. So she has been helping to take care of him. He's pretty self-sustained, but there's certain, things that he needs help with, or he doesn't know how to start stuff. Like he'll think of all the different options of what he could do, but he just doesn't know where to move forward. So I honestly would be very interested in a story with him, maybe finding a little love, but it will definitely be an interesting. I don't know what your thoughts are, Kitty, but I love him as a character.
I sometimes think sometimes with some of the social issues that sometimes comes along with autism, it's kind of difficult for them to have a romantic story.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen it done successfully, like in another book, and there were definitely roadblocks and challenges, and I don't think she would go there with Warren. Especially since, we got that long epilogue with them that shows us him 20 years from now and he's still single. So I don't think that's gonna happen.
That's true. Did they say he was single?
Well, he was gonna be moving by himself until
that's true.
Behind his sister.
That is true. She did allude to that. Sadness. I loved his character. But anyway, so Addie ends up moving to Texas and bringing Warren with her to be near their other sister, Warren's twin sister.
I'm sorry. Interjection, but now that I think about it, he definitely overcame the touch issue. He had sex with his father's wife and got her pregnant. So it's actually probably more of a possibility. That's a big hurdle right there.
Mm-hmm.
Not being able to be touched and whatnot. So, but I don't think it's gonna be there.
We just don't. Yeah, we don't know if it was a one time and got pregnancy or multiple times.
Yeah,
but the father, child had first of all.
Yeah,
the father's wife who had the baby ended up committing suicide, so she had her own issues.
Yeah,
she couldn't handle it being outside of the cult.
Well, no, she could. The big issue was that she was supposed to be, keeping her virginity, waiting for her husband to get out of jail. And, she done slept with his son. And
oh, that's true.
She had been prepared to be his umpteenth wife all of her life.
I know. So
yeah.
So gross. So mind-boggling, but we know these things happen.
Yeah.
For sure. This book definitely had me looking to the side a few times, scratching my head. Yeah, sometimes you're just like, maybe the author just has a vivid imagination. And then other times you're like, no, I've watched a few documentaries with stuff.
Yeah.
Like this is definitely happening. This is not out of the realm of belief. But let's talk about Atlas. Atlas, to me, he seemed like just this big old teddy bear. He's into gaming. I'm into gaming. He likes to teach. I don't mind teaching people how to use the computer and stuff like that. He's donating so much of his time to help with the battered women's and men cause. I loved that Cee Bowerman even brought up the story of what a battered man goes through.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Not a lot of people talk about it, but let's just be real. It's very hard for a man who's in an abusive relationship where he's the one being abused to get help. Nobody believes him. But let's just be real. People on both spectrums can be cray-cray.
Right.
It's not just one sex. It could be either or. And we've heard it. We've seen it. Where women kill their significant others and things like that. Is not out of the realm. So it's actually pretty shocking that men can't get the support that they need. But I'm glad that this organization does also help battered men. And he was able to get out that situation because that woman was crazy. She was nuts. Like, he had scars.
Yeah.
On his neck from her nails with her trying to choke him. Like, this woman is nuts. This is not no run of the mill. Oh, she's just, jealous or any of that. No. This woman had killer instincts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that they threw her in jail, especially after she tried to kill old girl Addie, who was not in any kind of romantic relationship with her husband. So I don't know. This book had me going left, right, and center, but I loved it. And then of course we have Atlas. Apologize. I'm blending their names together. They've been together for too long. I felt that he was an idiot. Jazz gave him, don't do this is what you need to do. I know you don't know women. This is what you need to do. Make sure you do X, Y, and Z. I mean, I don't know what else she could have did for him to avoid the situation that happened. The only thing she could have did more was tell Addie for her. Like, that's the only thing left for her to do.
Like, my friend's a fool. He don't know no better, but it means nothing.
They're not together. She's just an online friend. They play games together. They chat and tease, but they are not in any kind of relationship. But he's dumb. He don't listen. But you know what? There are men and women out there who are not as
savvy,
knowledgeable about the dating game and how people's emotions might get caught up in certain things and how people might take certain things a certain way when they might not mean it that way. But Jazz was right, and Jazz is Atlas's best friend. You got to let people know because they don't know what they don't know. And then you leave your computer up and somebody's talking about, hey, boyfriend, supermodel boyfriend, da, 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 da. Of course, a woman is going to be like, he's cheating on me, especially coming from her background when the father had like 900 wives.
Right.
Where now she's like, I want to be the only one. But flashing before her eyes, he might have somebody else. And she's like, I don't want no parts of that. Let me get out of this situation. And then he's like, and then of course, I love the stepfather. I don't know. I have not read the stepfather and the mom story, but we do know that it is a story and it does exist. And I think you might have already read it, the stepfather story.
The story is called Grunt by Cee Bowerman.
But
Grunt was an awesome story. Yes, I recommend you read Grunt.
So when the stepfather kind of plays the same kind of tale, but flips it up with him, he's like, you're cheating on my mother. And he's like, oh. What I do what you doing is cheating. But what you doing is not cheating, basically. So he had to put it in terms that he understood. But once that happened, he realized that he really messed up.
That was so hilarious. He was so getting frustrated when he was trying to explain about his online friend and his girlfriend not knowing about the online friend.
The mom was like, this is not how I raised you. The mom understood that he was being foolish. But he didn't understand. It took another man to explain it to him. Because obviously the women in his life just don't understand.
Yeah.
But it took his stepdaddy to explain. Okay. His younger siblings. I love them. I love them so much. The teenagers. The geniuses that would hang out with Warren. I love them. They were awesome. I thought that they were a really cute part of the story. So what are your thoughts? What were some of your favorite parts?
I love the story also, and it's crazy. Yes, I love a side character like Warren. It's just like so interesting, and he adds like these, I don't know, it was like this emotionless like sarcasm like he kept throwing out. Like he discovered like what a junk drawer in a house is for. He was like, why do you have like a drawer full of unorganized, unrelated things in your house? And then he asked his twin sister, do you have a junk drawer? And he was like, I must look into it. So he's like going through the sister's junk drawer. And his little niece, who's like 3 years old, she's like, come. Let me show you how to be organized, because your mother, she's not organized. She doesn't know how to clean.
He was like, why do you have ketchup packages in this junk drawer when you have ketchup in your fridge? Like, I don't understand.
It was hilarious. And so, he's like organizing the junk drawer. And then it was so funny when, Atlas, so him and Atlas becomes friends with Warren, which was like a really like, I don't know, a check in the pro list for him, because Addie is responsible for her brother, and with his issues, like she is going to be caring for him forever. Like he is very self-sufficient, but he needs like a caretaker, like someone to oversee it. And so she's going to be doing this for the rest of Warren's life. And she had just gotten out of a relationship before they moved to their town, basically because the brother wanted her, the old boyfriend wanted Addie to put Warren into some type of home to be taken care of.
Right, which doesn't make sense to me, because it's not like he can't live on his own. She just needs to be involved in his life to make sure everything's okay. And it was a good thing that she did take the helm and got the, was it conveyorship over?
Conservatorship.
Yes, because they tried to take him back. The cult. They tried to get, but they couldn't, because she was legally his guardian. Thank God she did that, because if she didn't.
So we got a bit ahead of ourselves. So in the beginning of the book, Addie does not live in Texas. She lives in Utah. But, they had this baby, Warren's baby, and the religious community that they grew up in, they wanted the baby back, or they wanted Warren to like punish him. They were never specific of why exactly this community wanted Warren back when they had already kicked him out twice. They wanted him back. So the father's multiple wives basically got her fired from her job, and they were like putting kids in danger because she worked with abused children, and they were messing with their cases.
The Department of DCFS, basically.
Yeah. So they got her fired from her job. Her boyfriend broke up with her. She was no longer to pay for her rent, let alone like a rent for Warren. So her other sister, Warren's twin sister that had gotten out of the cult also, she, helped them move to her hometown with them. So that's how they ended up there. And Atlas, him and Warren, they kind of make fast friends with each other. So I thought that was really cute. He's like teaching them about electricity on the battery. So
let's start fires.
Yeah. Or when he introduces ramen to the former cult children.
They were like, what is this?
They have never had ramen before. They don't know what it is, but Atlas, being the gamer, college, appetite type, he's trying to cook more, but he really doesn't know how to cook a lot. So he eats a lot of ramen and Mountain Dew. And I have been to like ramen restaurants like in New York City and whatnot. And I cannot imagine putting deli meat in ramen. That just does not sound appetizing to me.
It depends on the deli meats. I would say if it's like a really good cut of maybe like, and granted, I don't eat pork, but if it's like some kind of chipotle ham or something that is very flavorful, because like I heat up deli meat. I don't like my deli meat cold. Mm-hmm. So if I'm making a sandwich, I put the deli meat and the cheese in the toast oven so that the deli meat warms up and the cheese melts it on top. And then I toast the bread.
But even like shape wise, it seems like it wouldn't work.
I thought they cut it up because there's ramen where it's like
still like flat when you have like the noodles trying to maneuver.
You got to remember, when you get your deli meat cut, you're thinking about the pre-cut deli meat.
I've got deli meat cut.
But you can get any size thickness. So if you got thick deli meat, which is what I personally prefer, I don't like having to put 10 slices of deli meat on there to get like a good thickness. I get thick sliced deli meat, which is kind of the same texture. I've gotten deli meat that's the same texture as like tenderloins. That's how thick the cut was of chicken tenderloins.
Really?
Yes, and it is delicious.
Okay, I so see a tangent going on. We are not going to go off on a tangent about deli meat and ham and turkey. Right,
I was just saying, it could be a thicker cut of deli meat that they're using, especially when you think of how you can get roast beef and stuff like that. So people can get that cut thicker.
Alice seems like the type that was getting Oscar Mayer.
Maybe not. Maybe not. You never know.
He did. His character doesn't seem, and he was talking about how it's a recipe from his poor childhood.
So this is definitely Oscar Mayer.
No, they were getting some Oscar Mayer.
It though, Tamika. It's like putting the cabbage in there. A cabbage is not exactly thick. When you cut up cabbage, it's the same kind of thickness.
That's true.
So I think it's the same.
Yeah, that's true. And every time he was like, "Oh, I got this big box for like 10 cents a pack," and I think of every time I paid like $9-10 for a cup of ramen in New York City, and I think, 10 cents.
That's only the cost of the ramen. You ain't add the other ingredients yet.
All the other goodness in
cabbage, eggs, green onions,
jalapenos,
exactly,
chicken, alfalfa sprouts,
and the quality of the broth. The taste is different because the ramen noodle packets is super salty. So I never even use a whole package. But when the quality of the slow cooked broth bone that they use to make ramen, it's night and day. But hey, in a pinch, ramen is real.
It is. I have some in my kitchen right now.
I got some too from the Asian grocery store. Shout out to Super H Mart.
But yes, like Alice and Warren's relationship was really cool. And, as you mentioned before, I did like the addition that she added the battered man to it. And even like him in the story, he was like, nobody would believe him. And so it was nice that Addie, as a social worker, like, he was really grateful for her services. But then, it took a turn when the crazy wife thought Addie was trying to date the husband, and she went to go and run her over. So that was like, this chick really just followed her and run her over? That was crazy.
Right, especially since there's so many women who work there. But she decided Addie was the one he was choosing.
No, she thought they all were trying to get her man. She was nuts. But he said that actually her getting hit by the car helped his case to show that, she truly was like a nutcase.
They already knew she was crazy because she lost it at the court office.
Oh yeah, didn't she attack the policeman too?
Uh-huh. She
Yes,
attacked
that
the police. She
the
did
wife,
so much.
the wife who was like the villain in the story, a quick villain. She was something else. Oh, and I love how when Addie breaks up with Atlas because she finds out that he has this online friendship. And even though it was completely innocent, it did not look innocent when she like sees it on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
So he like goes to his sisters, and his sisters like, give him what for, but then they like take, pity on their poor brother. They're like, we'll help you. And you gotta love Atlas's family, like you said, his brother. So Atlas's mother had two sets of children. So when she was like 15, she got pregnant for the first time. So she had a baby at 15, 16, and 17. So that was Atlas and his two sisters. And then a few years down the road, she meets and marries another man who was like really super duper smart. It's like a genius. And she had 3 or 4 additional kids with him. Mm-hmm. So the age range for the kids is like 30 to 5.
Exactly. And then he passes away, right?
Yes.
It's the mother's heart.
And his second husband like passed away in like some type of accident.
And then she meets Grunt.
Yes. And then she meets Grunt, which I super duper recommend that you read Grunt, because Grunt's story was really, really good.
I might have to check it out. I have so many things I need to read.
You should definitely read Grunt. I'm definitely looking forward to Jasmine's story because, she has a love interest that's slinking around like their apartment, and
that we were introduced in this book. Not even they were together, but hiding it from her brothers. So yeah. And then he was like, well, either we're in a relationship or we're not. And basically she chose not because she didn't want to go, public. So it's going to be really interesting to see what causes it to go public. Watch her get pregnant. I'm going to laugh. Like, how you going to, what's going to happen? Watch that be I'm not saying it's the plot. I don't know what the plot is.
It's not like a lot of people in their group know about the guy. Like all the women know. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's not real hard for it to go public. I mean, one of the little kids can walk in on them and like tell or something. So that's going to be interesting. But overall, like I really enjoyed Atlas and Addie's story. I was happy to see Addie get a story because I read her sister's story, which was a part of the Texas King line for Cee Bowerman. Mm-hmm. And it was a really good story when you see like, the sister finds her siblings again and discovers that they need her to take this baby. Like it was such a quick turnaround. The older sister, she's not the older sister, Warren's twin, she's like in a diner in Utah. And the waitress just happens to be one of the siblings of her through her father, and they're like shocked to see each other. And she calls Warren and they're like, oh, I need you to come take this baby. That's how quick it was. It was crazy. They were on a trip.
But yes, so thank you for joining us today. Obviously, you could tell that we really enjoyed this book. Yes. Cee Bowerman is definitely an author that we has reviewed many times, and it's mainly because she is so prolific. And there's
very, very prolific. She has a new book coming out in just a couple of weeks, Jasmine's story, which I'm looking forward to.
Yes. So again, thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you soon.
See ya.